travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Well, hello there, Catholic pilgrims. Welcome to day 65 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today's show is sponsored by My Saint, My Hero. They are a Catholic company that makes wearable blessings. So they make jewelry that is very tastefully done. It's not gaudy or over the top. It's just the right amount of Catholic touch to it that draws people's eyes to it and makes them wonder. Like I've said before, they are a great evangelization tool because they have always struck up a conversation with at least one person on the days that I wear anything by My Saint, My Hero. So if you've got a birthday or an anniversary, or there's a special holiday for us Catholics coming up, I would highly recommend you check them out. You can find them at www.mysaintmyhero.com. All right, so today's readings are from Notebook 1. We're reading numbers 241 through 245. Special Resolutions of the Retreat, May 1st, 1933. Love of neighbor. First, helpfulness towards the sisters. Second, do not speak about those who are absent, and defend the good name of my neighbor. Third, rejoice in the success of others. O God, how much I desire to be a small child. You are my Father, and you know how little and weak I am. So I beg you, keep me close by your side all my life, and especially at the hour of my death. Jesus, I know that your goodness surpasses the goodness of a most tender mother. I will thank the Lord Jesus for every humiliation, and will pray especially for the person who has given me the chance to be humiliated. I will immolate myself for the benefit of souls. I will not count the cost of any sacrifice. I will cast myself beneath the feet of the sisters, like a carpet on which they can not only tread, but also wipe their feet. My place is under the feet of the sisters. I will make every effort to obtain that place unnoticed by others. It is enough that God sees this. Now a gray, ordinary day has begun. The solemn hours of the perpetual vows have passed, but God's great grace has remained in my soul. I feel I am all God's. I feel I am His child. I feel I am wholly God's property. I experience this in a way that can be physically sensed. I'm completely at peace about everything because I know it is the spouse's business to look after me. I have forgotten about myself completely. My trust placed in His most merciful heart has no limit. I am continuously united with Him. It seems to me as though Jesus could not be happy without me, nor could I without Him. Although I understand that being God, He is happy in Himself and has absolutely no need of any creature, still, His goodness compels Him to give Himself to the creature, and with a generosity which is beyond understanding. My Jesus, I will now strive to give honor and glory to your name, doing battle till the day on which you yourself will say, enough. Every soul you have entrusted to me, Jesus, I will try to aid with prayer and sacrifice, so that your grace can work in them. O great lover of souls, my Jesus, I thank you for this immense confidence with which you have deigned to place souls in our care. O you days of work and of monotony, you are not monotonous to me at all, for each moment brings me new graces and opportunity to do good. So as I was reading through this, I found it very convicting and a very good description of how we should live our Christian lives. And as I was going through it, I started evaluating how good of a job I do at these certain things that she lists out. And I kind of thought that would be something to go over today. And maybe we can all just kind of reflect on, are we doing a good job at these things? Do we even desire to do these things? Do we really struggle with these things? So the first one that she talks about is being helpful. She wants to be helpful to her sisters. And I think for the most part, all of us enjoy being helpful. Like if we see, our children in need, or if a neighbor has, a disaster happen or something like that, most of us enjoy being helpful, I think. At least I think so. We want to reach out, we want to help, we want to do what we can, make suppers, go get groceries for somebody, send flowers, whatever we can do to be helpful. And I I don't know if that's something that we necessarily struggle with. However, we will get to a point where we don't desire to be helpful anymore, like we're maxed out, especially when the church asks us to do something, or if we're, volunteering for our children's school or whatever. We all get to a point where we're like, okay, no more. I can't do it anymore. I don't want to be helpful anymore. And a lot of that is because, yes, as people, we can get maxed out and we can have too much on our plate, and we need to learn to say no to excess. However, a lot of times I think we get greedy for our own time, and we just want to go home and we want to sit and watch Netflix, or we just want to be at home and we don't want to do anything. We don't want to be bothered. So we need to really find out what our motivation is. And the next thing she talks about is don't speak about people that are absent. Woo boy. I am guilty of this completely. It's often something that I confess. And the biggest reason why I struggle with it all the time, and I confess it pretty frequently, is because it's such a habit in our culture to talk about people behind their back. And I think a big reason why we do it is because we don't think we have anything else to talk about. I have been at gatherings, with people, and there are certain things that I would like to talk about, maybe like sports or books that people have just read, or what do you do for your career, or, what are your hobbies? Tell me about your hobbies. And a lot of times people aren't interested in either answering my questions or just finding any interest in me in asking me those types of questions so that we can have a conversation. But what always ends up happening is people start gossiping about other people. And the reason why I think we like to do this is because it makes us feel better about ourselves. So I know I am totally guilty of this. I think it's just a habit for us as human beings, and it's hard to break. The other thing she talks about is rejoicing in the success of others. Now, sometimes when I see people who are having, great success, maybe they've gotten a promotion or they're getting to move somewhere new. This is a real trap for us military spouses. Like if it's the moving cycle and you're not the one moving, or, somebody's spouse has gotten a really good job, really elevates them for promotions or something like that, I will not feel rejoiceful in their success. I just won't. I'll kind of be like, I wish that was me. Or why can't that be, either my husband, or why can't I have that? And that's so incredibly selfish, and jealousy is ripe within me. And I really have to check myself on that, because obviously when it's not healthy, 2, I'm not being content in my station in life, and 3, I'm not being grateful for what I have. And there's this idea that if this person over here has success, they are somehow stealing from my success. Like there's this success pool, and if we all have our little lot inside of it, and if somebody comes and takes too much, then we lose out on ours, which isn't true at all. If somebody's having success over here, it doesn't take away from me. I can still have that, or I may not even be desiring to go down the path of success that they're choosing to go down. So why wouldn't I just be happy for them, as long as it's good and a noble thing? But man, I do struggle with that. It's an envy thing or a jealousy thing. I don't know. It's a problem. The other thing she talks about is she wants to be a child. She wants she desires to be like a small child, and kind of weak and little in the eyes of the Father. And that doesn't mean like she wants to be like a wimp worm, as my dad would say, but that she just recognizes that she is like a small child, and she needs and depends upon the Father's help. And so often we are told to do it all yourself. You take care of you. You are your own master. Go get yours. Don't let anybody push you around, and all those things. And we start to think of ourselves as, almost godlike, like we can do anything. And while we can do a lot of things, we are still fully dependent upon God. I mean, if He stopped thinking about us, we would cease to exist. So our mere existence depends on Him. So I think we need to remind ourselves that, we are a dependent people. God doesn't want us to be desperate and suffocating people, but he wants us to recognize that we need him in our lives, which is so important. Another thing she talks about, and I was reading through it and I'm like, wow, I am not at that place, is where she talks about how she's going to pray especially for the person who has given her the chance to be humiliated. I don't ever remember or recall feeling like I want to pray for somebody who has humiliated me. And I know what she's getting at here, because when we are humiliated by somebody, there's a chance for suffering and sacrifice, especially for that person. And for me, what I want to do is lash out and put you in your place and tell you how it is and, humiliate that person. Sister Faustina has a very different approach to it. And it's the same one that Christ took. I mean, when everybody was humiliating him, when he was standing in front of Pontius Pilate, when he was on the cross and they were like, get yourself down, he was praying for those people, and he was on the cross for people just like them. And that's a tough one. That is a tough one. And as I was reading through this, I was thinking, in the way things are in the times that we live in, all of these things that she says, we are doing the exact opposite. We are telling people, take care of yourself. Only take care of yourself. You're number one. Take care of yourself instead of be helpful to your neighbor. We constantly talk bad about people behind their backs. And now we've gotten to the point where in social media and in the regular media, we just talk bad about people in front of their face all the time. We don't even care anymore to do it behind their backs. And we don't defend people's good names. In fact, it's the game of the day to smear and find who you can destroy and then ruin their good name. That's like the game that we're playing now. And then, so many of us don't rejoice in the success of others. In fact, if we see somebody who's more successful than us, well, I want to bring you down a notch and I want to take what you have because I deserve it. That's so selfish. And then we don't realize how weak we are and dependent upon God. We see ourselves as God and we make rules like God. We decide who gets to live or die, abortion, euthanasia, those types of things. We think we have this godlike power, that we're not weak in any way. That's why coronavirus has hit us all on our butt, because we see how weak we really are, but we don't want to really acknowledge it. And then to pray for people who give you the chance to be humiliated. Are people doing this in our culture? Are you kidding me? No way. No way. We have this back and forth, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth game going on in our culture. You humiliate me, I'm coming right back at you. I'm going to dig up your dirt and I'm going to try to destroy you. We are doing the exact opposite of what Sister Faustina writes down. And her heart is close to God's. And this is the wisdom that she gets. And imagine if we all did these things. Gosh, it would be amazing. It would be amazing if we were helpful and if we didn't talk bad about people, behind their back or to their face, if we were defending people's good names, if we were rejoicing and high-fiving people in their success, realizing how dependent upon God we are and how much we need him in our lives. And when people humiliate us, treating them like Christ did, letting them do it. And in that moment, when they do that and they don't see us react with fury, that's when seeds of conversion are planted. So, good stuff, man. I trust in what she writes down way more than I would in what the world tells us to do. So give this some thought. I told you I struggle with a lot of these. I know these are things I need to work on. And reading her words today just really helped me to see that there's always room to grow. Always room to grow. So I will see you back here for day 66, Catholic Pilgrims. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.